What are some apps that you can use as an online minister to help you build relationships? We're going to be talking about that today, so get ready because it's time.
You're listening to the Church Digital Sidekick Podcast, part of the TCD Podcast Network.
Hey, heroes, my name is Tom Pounder, and this is the Church Digital Sidekick Podcast. This is the podcast where I bring on ministry leaders, and we talk about how you can do ministry more effectively in this very digital and online world. And today I've got a first-time guest, someone who I've known online for a number of years because we've run in the same circles for a number of years. But he's a first-time guest. His name is Justin Herman, and he is the online discipleship pastor at Mariners Church. It's in California. He lives in Arizona. How does that work, and how is he able to build relationships? He's going to talk about that today. His story is awesome, and he's got some apps that he uses on a regular basis, online apps that he uses to really build relationships with people who attend their church. So we talk about that, and we encourage you that, hey, listen, there are some real opportunities to have real relationships online. So I'm really excited to have Justin on. But before we do that, I want to just highlight theChurch.digital. At theChurch.digital, we really talk about how you can do online ministry in an effective way. In today's world, very effectively, we share blogs, we share podcasts, we have cohorts, we have coaching. There's lots of great opportunities for you to learn how to do digital and online ministry, and even digital and metaverse ministry as well at theChurch.digital. So if you've never checked it out, go to it today. I've got links in it in the show notes, but again, it's theChurch.digital. All right, so now without any further ado, let's get into the interview with Justin, talk about these digital relationship apps that you can use today. All right, with me right now is Justin Herman. Justin, how are you?
Hey, man, how's it going? Excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you on as well. I think you and I have followed each other for a number of years over the course of time, but I've never had you on the podcast, so I'm excited to have you on sharing today.
Yeah, we spent a legacy in youth ministry. Many years ago, I was doing youth ministry, and that's how we kind of crossed paths at first. But this is wild online, and I'm such a fan of what you're doing and what you're putting out. So thanks for having me on.
Well, I'm a fan of yours as well. I've followed you over the years, so this is exciting, and I'm excited about your job. And so let's just get into it real quick. I know what you do because I heard you on the Social Media Church podcast, and I think that's awesome. What do you do? Share with everyone else. What do you do, and how did you get into that?
Well, at the core of what I do is make sure that all the people who are tuning in online are able to go through the fullness of our church discipleship strategy, which is called the transformational loop. Weekend, which is follow Jesus, groups, which is grow together, which is rooted in life groups, in courses, serve one another, is being able to volunteer at your church. Like the things we think are very simple are actually 10x complex. I'm sure you know this when it comes to online. Someone says, "Hey, I want to serve at the church." You walk on a church patio and say, "Hey, I want to serve." You'll be inundated with pastors who are more than willing to take your time. If you raise your hand and say, "Hey, I'm online, I want to serve," everyone's looking around at each other like, "Well, what's he going to do? Like, are they going to make social media? Can they make graphics?" And it's like, so you have to think completely differently. So you have to really start from scratch. But it's serve one another, and then change the world, which is our outreach stuff. So how do we impact communities and globally? But it's not, and I don't want to diminish this, but it's not things like, let's just make a bunch of sandwiches and go hand them out. Now, again, I'm not diminishing that.
Yeah,
I would do that I plan on doing that with my kids. But as a church, we look at outreach as how are we building relationships with organizations in communities that really have a footprint there. So it's not just, hey, we're in and now we're out. It's like, hey, we're in and we're building a relationship with you. Well, how do you do that? It's easy to do that when your church is, in Irvine, California, or you have a campus in Santa Ana. You partner with organizations. When you say, hey, we're online, we can't partner with every organization in every city in America. So how do you kind of figure through that? So again, it's like the complexity of what I spend time doing. While I sit on a team that talks about, who's tuning in, what our numbers look like, retention, growth projections, blah, 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 the number stuff, which is important. My role is, from all the people who are watching, how are we discipling those people?
That's awesome. Okay, so and your official title is what?
The online discipleship pastor. I drop discipleship sometimes, just go to online pastor, depending on who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Because, if you're like new, you're like, hey, people don't know what discipleship is. You throw discipleship out there to someone who doesn't speak church, and they don't know what you're talking about. But
Yeah.
my official title is online discipleship pastor, to really bring focus to what I do on a regular basis.
And what describe your team then? So if you're this, what does your team look like?
So I sit on a couple teams at the church. I sit on the Irvine lead team,
Okay.
Which is made up of kind of like the department heads of Irvine, like the ministry side of Irvine leadership for discipleship. I sit on we have multiple campuses, congregations, and I represent the online congregation, which isn't officially a thing.
Yeah.
So this is again, there's like a rabbit trail of the complexities of language when it comes to online. Is it a campus? Is it not a campus? Is it a community? Is it an extension of one of the campuses, kind of an extension of that? And sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. So I sit on what we call multiplication. So there's a discipleship multiplication with all of our campuses. There's an outreach multiplication with all of our outreach people at our campuses. And then, and I sit primarily, I spend a lot of my time on the online team. So that is our COO, operations guy. The dude is a genius. His name's Earl. Dry humor. He's a hunter. Me and him get along great. Our personalities are like kind of different. I'm more like gregarious and over the top. And he's like very even and super affirming and super kind. And I do an impression of him, which I'm not going to do right now, but I'm testing it out. And some of the staff like it because it's accurate. You just say like the most positive thing you can think of in like the driest, calmest sense you can. It's great. Our communications pastor is on that team, who also is remote, by the way. He lives in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Our weekend experience director is on that team, and he's the one in charge of planning and executing the entire product, for lack of a better term, of our weekend for online. And then our social media director is on that team as well. And she's the one who makes sure that our strategies are kicking on all cylinders, and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so some people may not know this about you, but that you are the online guy or the online discipleship guy, but you don't live in California. You are truly online. And so talk to me about how that came about, because like for me, we were talking about this offline, but I was a student minister and they just said, hey, you would be a good fit. And I've heard a lot of online ministers who were student ministers and then they made the transition. You were not in ministry at that moment when you got offered this job. So what did that look like?
Yeah. Well, let me say one thing first. I've talked to a tremendous amount of online pastors, partly because I'm pretty new to it still. And I want to learn from people and talk to people. I've talked to more online pastors who made the move from youth ministry to online that it completely blows me away. I think back in the day, it was like, well, I'm a youth pastor. Then what's the career trajectory?
Yeah.
The career trajectory into online is so much more fit for the talents and skills of youth.
Yeah.
The Wild West, a little bit gritty, got to figure out how to do it maybe on a tight budget. Not everyone really understands. So what do you guys do? You play dodgeball and then you do a Bible study. And they're like, so what do? You do a Zoom thing and then you're praying for people and what, huh? And where do they live? So like there's a lot of correlation there, but that's neither here nor there. So I was working in construction, doing sales, pretty unhappy, if I'm being honest. And I was praying for clarity. Hey, God, I feel a wrestling, a stirring in my soul that I'm not meant to do that. Like I'm meant to be back in ministry. I just got to figure out the path for that. I went to a thing called Man Camp, which I think we take youth away to camp, not because God speaks differently, but kids tend to hear him differently when we're away. Same thing for men, getting away, just without kids, without a wife, just getting away, hearing from the Lord, connecting with him. It's important. And so I did that at Mariners. We do a thing called Man Camp. Tim Lukai is probably one of the best men's pastors in the country when it comes to activating men. Really, really, really an incredible talent. And I went and there's a lot of fun stuff that happens there. And I didn't do any of those things. I sat on a big boulder with my Bible and a notebook. I was just sitting there. I just needed clarity. And it came through a guy named Ben, who used to own a brewery called Hangar 24,
Cool.
sold Hangar 20. He just felt this call into ministry, dropped everything, sold it to like his brother or whatever. I think it was kind of all, in the family sort of. Bought a boat, learned how to sail, take the gospel to different like villages and towns and islands. Like, it's just wild stuff. And he was the one that really gave me the wisdom that really triggered me, which was I didn't know the destination I was going to. I just started taking steps in a direction. And that's where I was stuck. I just didn't know what direction to go. So I came back from that trip feeling a good sense of clarity, started taking steps, and step here, step there, step, and then through some of the conversations I was having with some of the staff at Mariners about podcast stuff and digital stuff, in the midst of that, I got laid off from the construction job I was doing. So I was pretty unhappy doing it, and so I got laid off. Like a lot of people did, at the time, like Carvana and Ford and like a bunch of layoffs were happening at different companies. And, whatever, it happens. And I'm driving around Phoenix, Arizona, figuring out, okay, I'm going to drive home right now. I'm going to go tell my wife that I just was laid off. Like, I walked out of the chiropractor and got on a Zoom call and got laid off. What am I going to say to her? We got 4 kids. This is going to be dicey. And as I'm driving, one of the pastors at Mariners, a guy named Jared, called me, who's been a friend of mine for a very long time. And just to shoot the breeze. And I was like, you caught me at a good time. Like, and I told him what happened. And he's the one who said, hey, you should reach out to Eric and Beth, who's the executive pastor. Beth's the executive pastor. Eric's the Geiger's the senior pastor. And I said, okay, I'm going to do that. And I did the next day. And lo and behold, they were having discussions about online, because the conventional thinking for I think for everyone on online is going to agree with this. The conventional thinking through COVID was, okay, everything's online. And then when COVID's over, everyone comes back in person, and then online is going to kind of dissipate. But that's just not what happened for us. And for a lot of other churches, it's not what happened. So they were looking at these numbers of who's tuning in and joining and saying, hey, we need to disciple these people. Like, we need to it's not just going back to a live look-in in the corner of the room. Like, this is a thing. And it just, the timing was perfect. And I was very grateful to be back in ministry, and not just at any church, at what me and my wife consider to be our church. I mean, she was baptized there. Her parents were. We just baptized my 6-year-old son there. All of our kids have been dedicated there. Like, it is our church. Even when I didn't work there, we attended there. Like, that was our church. Eric was our pastor. So to go back on staff as a pastor, it was one of the greatest joys. But one of the opening dialogues was, I live in Arizona. I'm not looking to move back to California. And I was going to be upfront with that. And they were like, perfect. We love that, because you're the online guy, and you're going to come with an online perspective. And I do. And sometimes it's annoying. I mean, it's kind of like a little bit of buyer's remorse sometimes, because, we do, announcements and service, which is one I kind of, zing on a bunch. We have a class where people got to get a book. So like, and I look at it from the online perspective, where everyone else in the system is, oh, you need to get the book. All right, well, just drive to one of the congregations and we'll hand you one. And I'm like, no. This dude lives in Ohio. He's not, and the class starts tonight. He signed up late. Where again, in person, you sign up late or sign up when you arrive. It's like, oh, great, you're here. Give me $10. Here's a book. Enjoy the whatever. And it's just not like that for online. So like it comes with a perspective that the church finds valuable, but that also just lets me be the fullness of I think how God has wired me in this season.
Well, dude, I think that's so important that you have that online perspective. And again, for me, being an online guy in an established church, and I'm physically present in the church when we're doing our online stuff, but I will say things to them and say, guys, this doesn't translate well online. We have to think of our online attendees if we're going to make this work, and if we're going to value them. And again, they get annoyed with some of the things I say sometimes, but it's true. We gotta think from that online perspective. So,
I love that you said online attendees, by the way, because that is the right language. Because there are, just like there's an attendee of Mariners Irvine or Mariners Santa Ana, Mariners Mission Viejo, whatever. These are attendees of online. I have very I was in youth for a bunch of years, right? So
Hmm.
it's like there's a little bit of like rough edge still,
Yeah.
but I have a very like rough edge when it comes to diluting those who attend online to just being viewers.
Right.
Like, oh, they're viewers, and because for someone who's a viewer, there's very little responsibility to the viewer. Um,
Hmm.
here's the product, you're going to consume it or you're not, and hope you come back for more. Like, I hope we keep you addicted to the product.
Yeah.
That
Right.
we want these clips to go viral, and
Hmm.
but if they're attendees, then we have responsibility. We have a moral responsibility to not just ensure that, yes, in fact, this is their church and it feels like their church, but even like the moral responsibility of, one thing that I think every church makes easy online is giving. We make giving
Yeah.
very easy on, right? But maybe getting into a life group is like pulling teeth. Maybe, providing parent resources for parents who live in other states through the youth ministry is pulling teeth. But when it comes to, hey, how do we execute giving? Oh, that's a very, very simple stuff. We'll
Yeah.
we'll make sure we nail that.
Yeah.
But
Right.
but in that, it's like, listen, great, I give, like, me and my wife give, and you should give to your church. I think it's a biblical mandate that's part of what we do to support our church. But therein lies a moral responsibility again, that if we're saying to someone, hey, give us your hard-earned money to support the ministry, that they're able to take a step back and say, okay, well, and yeah, this is my church, and I am able to be part of the ministry of my church,
Mhm.
not just a part of a part of the ministry of my church. I'm able to engage in the fullness of my church, and that's obviously the complexity of my job. How do you bring that fullness to bear? But then it's those are the strategic conversations in the back end that, if to your point, if you say, hey, well, hey guys, this isn't going to work online, does that fall on receptive ears, or it's like, hey, online guy, keep
Yeah.
it down over there. But I mean, and so that's the navigation that constantly takes place.
Yeah, 100%. So, okay, so here's what I wanted to talk about today. Thanks for this was great hearing your backstory a little bit and how you got involved with this. Here, since you are truly online, you probably use a variety of different tools to
Yeah.
do your work. And so I wanted to just hear from you about what are some tools that you use online that really help you do ministry more effectively.
Yeah. So I'm going to lay out 4 things. Hey, and just so you know, that probably 2 of these things are maybe like one of these things is like really like, oh, I've never heard of that before. And the rest are things I think everyone's heard of. These are the 4 things we're going to talk about: Calendly, a thing called
Mm,
Bonjourno, a thing called Zapier, and a thing called Chat GPT. Okay. And I'm going to throw a little Canva in there too, by the way. Okay. So,
great.
and I'm going to put the theme of this. The theme of all of these tools is relationship and efficiency. Like,
Mm,
if there was a bookmark heading in your browser, it'd be relationship and efficiency, and you'd find these apps under it. And if it's okay with you, I'll just ping right through, and then
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I'll just give a quick overview. So Calendly is an important tool. We use that for our onboarding for leaders to schedule time that works for them. We use that as a workflow. For instance, we're launching online baptisms. So if someone wants to get baptized, they fill out the form online, which keeps their information in our database. So now we kind of have an anchor around their information, but it sends them over to Calendly to schedule time with me. They can pick time with me, and I talk to them. Oh, you want to get baptized? Why? Tell me more, blah, 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 blah. And then in the response email they get after the Calendly appointment is over is where they'll get the links for these additional resources: how to plan a baptism experience.
Mm,
If you have someone baptizing you that's never done it before, here's a video that'll help them. Hey, here's tips to make it super successful, blah, blah, and all that's in there. So it's automated. It's made to be easy. But the most effective thing I've used it for is just the book Digital Coffee with Justin.
mm.
So every email I put a link, it's on my email signature. Every meeting I have with someone, or every email I get, every prayer request I get from online, every new Connect card I get, everything I get comes with a, hey, grab Digital Coffee with Justin. It's 30 minutes, pick a time that works for you. And it gives you a chance to get to know your pastor. For online, while they
Yeah.
see Eric as our senior pastor teaching, from the day to day, they're going to see me and spend time with me. So that's Calendly. Super integrated into everything I have, made to be relational. Bonjourno. When anyone signs up for stuff, Connect card, they sign up for a course, whatever, through Zapier. So I have my Gmail connected to Zapier. If I get, emails about certain things, there's trigger words, et cetera, et cetera. It will load their email into Bonjourno. This is what Bonjourno is. It is a video messaging tool where if, let's say, Tom fills out a Connect card, his stuff auto-populates into Bonjourno, pops up on my phone, and I can record a little video right from my phone. Hey, Tom, how's it going, man? I see you did a Connect card. I'm Justin. Just wanted to put a name with a face. Hey, I'd love to talk to you more. I hope you're having a great day, blah, blah, blah. And it gives it is immediate. Like it pops up immediately. It notifies me like, hey, a new person's added to your thing, your queue. So imagine you live in Ohio and the church you're looking at is in California, and you're like, okay, I'm kind of interested in this, fill out a Connect card. And 2 minutes later, it's not like I nail this every single time, but 2 to 10 minutes later, you get a personal video from one of the pastors who says, hey, I'm an online pastor. I'm your person. I'd love to talk to you. Hey, here's the link. You can schedule time with me. Yeah, I just wanted you to put a name with a face. It's a short thing that takes relationship and that feeling of, oh, they notice me. People will walk in and out of a physical church building and never be talked to, never be noticed. You can be invisible in a room of 1,000. You can be invisible in a room of 100. Talk about being invisible digitally. I mean, you absolutely can. So helping people not feel invisible, Bonjourno is an incredible, I can't talk about it enough. There's workflows in there too. So if I wanted to create a progressive workflow that, welcomes someone and then reminds me, 2 weeks later to re-engage them, or a month later, like there's workflows that are insane.
That's awesome.
Chat GPT. Everyone knows about AI. Everyone has strong opinions about AI, blah, blah, blah. Here's the deal. It makes my job easier when it comes to writing a blog post, and giving me a frame of reference to start with. If one time I typed in there, hey, what are the 50 ways to share your faith with someone? And it gave me 50 ways. Hey, give me 50 more ways. It gives me 50 more ways. And I find the ones I like. I take that, load it into a Google Sheet, CSV file, take that file, pop that over to Calendly, kind of create a template, and boom, upload that, and it auto populates. And the font that I want, now I have a bunch of social media graphics, like literally within 5 minutes, that I can share over the course of a week. I can share all at once, and they're numbered 1 through 20. And then I do the little video. Hey guys, sharing your faith's important online. You can do it wherever you live. Hey, I dropped in our story, 20 ways to share your faith that are super easy. Check them out. Comment below in the video the one you think is the best. Or if you have a different idea, let me know. So you're using social media as a relationship kind of community building tool. Use Chat GPT to create content, not plagiarize, not be lazy, but to get things started so that you can take it and edit. Now, again, people are going to listen to that and be like, I totally disagree. Okay, whatever. Like, I'm not going to die on that hill, but it makes my role easier to give me a starting point. And then the last one that I really like is Zapier. So it allows me to do a ton of automation with Instagram, ton of automation with Gmail. We have it hooked into our system pretty well, so that as people fill out Connect cards or different things, it just auto sends emails. It auto alerts me so I can follow up with people more effectively. Zapier is a killer for social media. It's great. You get a new follower on Twitter, it does this. New follower on Instagram, it does that. Those are the 4 or 5 tools that I've used, that I use often. I use them every week. Yeah. So there's a quick overview.
Dude, those are great. Okay, so the one thing, as I was listening to you and thinking about our student ministry pass that goes into our online ministry, I think this is what makes student ministry so great at online ministries, because in student ministry, you're always thinking about relationships. It's always about relationships. And with online ministry, I went to a conference a few years ago. This was even during the early stages of COVID. And someone said, and I was greatly offended by it, and I let them know that I was offended by it, but they said online relationships are not real relationships. And I thought that is so false from what I've ever experienced online. I know some of the people on my 8 o'clock, I chat host our 8 o'clock service. I have other chat hosts for other ones. I know some of those people, and I've never met them in person, but I know them because we've had interaction, not just in the chat room, but outside of the chat room. And because I think very relationally, and I want to build relationships with people and help them experience Jesus and discover who he is. And so we have real relationships. And those tools that you just highlighted are all centered around relationships, and you're building relationships. I didn't even think about the quick little video thing that you did about sending that to someone really quick. Put a face with the name. It's so great of how you're viewing online ministry as real relational ministry.
And there's so many easy ways to do that. Here's what I'd say. This is be pretty. I think this is gonna be a pretty edgy thing that I'm gonna. I think this is gonna be a pretty ridiculous, edgy. You might. I don't know. When you said what you just said, here's the first thing I thought of. That sounds like a type of bigotry to me. That sounds like a type of online bigotry to me. Hey, though you can't really have relationships with those people. That's not really. Imagine applying that to any other sphere of our regular ongoing life. And put any other category of group. So like online's a place where things happen. Hey, we're going to do this Bible study. So it's also going to be online. Then there is the people of online. Like this is their congregation. This is their church, the people of online. So we're going to do this Bible study. We're going to use online as an avenue of doing this. And then there's the people of online. We want to include the online people into this thing that we're doing, and apply any other people group and say that same foolish insight, and you'd be labeled a bigot. They'd say, oh, well, you'd be like, you're super closed-minded. I can't believe you would say that. But with online, here's the deal. If you think that you can't do it, then you're never going to try to do it.
Right.
And if you say to yourself, you know what, this is going to be hard to do, so let's figure it out. You will be successful. I was chatting with a couple yesterday, and we were just friggin' hanging. They're doing, they have a junior high kid. He does triathlons. They live in Bakersfield, California, which is super far from Orange County. He's going down to Orange County for a triathlon in September. The call was about just other stuff. And he's like, hey, you should, he knows I do triathlons too. He's like, you should do it with me. And I'm like, September, I'm kind of looking at my calendar. Like, can I arrange being in Irvine for some reason, some church meeting I got to go to in order so that I can do this triathlon with him? I probably can, but you never get to that point if you're not willing to say, hey, this is gonna be slow going, and like, let's get started and figure it out. And go with an open mind, and know that to them, they just want to connect they just want to be connected. They want to be seen. They want to be known. And that's the business we're in, which is another reason. I affirm what you said so much. Another reason why youth ministry people can be successful, really successful when it comes to online, because we have that mindset, pulling that kid in who's kind of on the fringe. The bad kid, I'm using air quotes, the bad kid that, all they do is make mistakes. Like, are they even worth it? No, they are worth it. Like, we got to fight hard to pull that kid in. It's the same kind of deal. It's the same kind of deal.
Yeah, I love this. Well, those are great tools. And again, I think it's great encouragement that anything online we can look at and we can try, we can experiment. I like how you're using Chat GPT too. Because again, that's still very new to a lot of us. And I'm trying to figure out, hey, how do I utilize this? And to see what you did, again, you're using a tool to help build relationships, to help encourage people, help spur them on towards Christ. And I think that's fantastic of how, again, I'm sure you're not be like, hey, this AI stuff, I'm going to invest all my time and energy, but you're starting to explore it. You're starting to look at it, and you're starting to say, how does this fit? Can it fit?
I think of Chat GPT, and I don't go deep down the rabbit hole on this. I think of it like if I had an intern writer on my team. I have an intern English major who loves writing, and I just opened the office door and I said, hey, can you write me a quick blog? Like, I'm going to edit it and make it my own and kind of add some stuff. Can you write me a quick blog on the 6 ways, 6 reasons it's really important to volunteer at your church? And they say, oh yeah, sure, here you go. And they type it up. Hey, can you just write for me, 50 ways to share your faith with someone? Oh yeah, sure. That's my mindset. So it's not hey, this writes it and I just post whatever it writes, whatever computer language it uses, but it's meant as a tool to help build efficiency, kind of get things started, get me going so that I can, make the most of my time.
Yeah. And I think that's right too, because like you just said, they're not just relational tools you highlighted, but they're time-saving tools, and they really help you. Again, automation is good. Like if everything you do is automation, maybe that might be kind of weird, but having automation to help you and help them in the process, I think that's really exciting stuff that you're doing. So, dude, this has been great.
The end result's the big part. It's no one who is on the receiving end of the video, for instance, is asking me questions about like, well, hey, was this automated? Were you what tools were you using? How much do those tools cost? They don't care about any of that stuff. They care about, oh my gosh, this guy, he noticed, I just filled his card out 10 minutes ago. This guy notices me. Like, what's the deal with this? I've never gotten a response like this from a church. Like that's what we're going for. Just like in youth, we go for the, I can't believe we just did that moment as a kid sitting in their chair. We're going for the, I can't believe this church, I can't believe I got this response. I can't believe they noticed me. If I can get that response from the people who are new visitors to our church online, then we're nailing it. And I'll do, any other than sin, any means necessary, I'm willing to do it. And I'm telling you, that's what I love is these questions, because it's about, again, relationship, efficiency, and again, keeping the end user in mind. I can't believe that they connect me. I can't believe they noticed in a sea of people, they know and made time for me. Maybe this church is, maybe I'm going to take a harder look at this church. Maybe I will sign up for that Bible study. Maybe I will attend this weekend. That's those payoffs that we're looking for.
Dude, this is awesome. This has been exciting for me. Anytime I talk to an online minister, I just get so encouraged and inspired, because you're thinking about things that I haven't thought about. And I'm like, okay, I got to start looking into this a little bit more. Like Buongiorno, I've never heard of that before. I'm going to look into it right after we get off of this and see how I can start incorporating it, because
you're going to love it. You're going to love it, bro. You're going to love it.
Well, Justin, this is awesome. How can people connect with you? If they want to look you up and say, we can connect with you a little bit more, what would you suggest?
I'm on Instagram. Instagram is a great way. At Hey Justin Herman. I'll send you some links you can put in the show notes. I'll send you the coffee with the online pastor link. People can, if you're an online pastor out there, man, I don't know everything. I didn't know everything when I was a youth pastor. Like we're all learning. We're all on the same road, going the same direction, whatever. I love talking to online pastors. I have the same heart that you do. That feeling of connecting, like that synergy of like, man, we're all in it together and there's good ideas here. So anyone can book time with me and we'll spend 30 minutes and chat, and it'll probably go longer than that. But Instagram's the best way. And Facebook, I'm on. Actually, Hey Justin Herman, I realized I was really early onto these things. So like for Facebook, YouTube, I got Hey Justin Herman for everything. So the branding, very, very good alignment. Very good, very online.
Well, when I reached out to you on Twitter, I was wondering if you were actually active on Twitter or not, or if you just had it. And so I was glad that you responded to me on Twitter, because I love Twitter. I'm a Twitter guy.
I've been getting way more into Twitter. I don't know why, but I just have been. I feel like it's been more mellow. There's been more people on there. It's just been more fun. And I discovered our church, we have a Twitter account for our church. It's just not really utilized. There's no one. Twitter was like such a toxic, weird place for a really long time. So a lot of people kind of disengaged. That's typically when I like to engage the most, like where I like to put my hands in the most. It's like things are really chaotic. Oh, perfect. I'm made for this. And so I've actually been like writing a strategy, how can we put meat to Twitter? We have this handle at Mariners Church. How can we put meat to it? But it's there's a lot of other priorities right now. It's sitting in a file somewhere right next to my position paper on space aliens. So it's which is a real thing. I've been writing this paper in my free time. Being back in the church, you just got time and people ask weird stuff. You're like people, I don't know the weirdest question you've been asked, but for me it was, what's the church's position on like space aliens? Like if they're real, like what does that mean for our faith being real? And I was like, I'm going to put some thought into that, because I know there's an answer. I went deep down the rabbit hole. Now I got a 5-page paper that outlines the more responsibility for evangelism, or what it means in context of Genesis 1. We could talk all day about space aliens. I know stuff.
Well, after I saw all those pictures of all the different galaxies, I was like, okay, we are totally not alone. And if we ever think we're alone here, we're fooling ourselves. So anyways, that's a whole different rabbit hole, like you said. So.
It's a totally right, but I would add, this is the one question I throw out there. When it comes to the work of the cross, so when it comes to the work on Calvary, the work on the cross, when Jesus, died on the cross for our sins, was that sacrifice, that propitiation for our sins to satisfy the anger or the wrath of God, was that for this planet, or was that an intergalactic act that sent ripples through the cosmos, that forgiveness is there for the people, or is that contained to the people in the situation of earth, that God created Adam and Eve, and on planet Earth, as the Bible documents what happens on this earth, sin happened, the whole thing, and then Jesus was the solution to this situation where people from another planet. I mean, I'm telling you, dude, you go deep down the rabbit hole. If aliens showed up, should we be proselytizing to them, sharing with them the gospel of Jesus, where they didn't have like these same stories and examples of situations on their planet? There's things there. There's things there.
Oh gosh,
to legitimately talk about.
Yeah.
If you have the time for it, most people do not. Most people do not have the time to embellish me on space aliens.
Well, when you're done with the paper, you need to share it with us so that we can read through it.
Not only will I share it with you, I will demand that I come back on this. I will demand that I come back on this podcast to argue every point and to convince people that if space aliens do arrive, it changes nothing about the veracity and the strength of our gospel, because our gospel is made for us and with our situation. But that I'll argue some of the other implications. I will demand my return.
The title will be Online Ministry and Space Aliens. So there you go.
Hey, these radio waves go into the cosmos. It's a thing. Some alien shows up and be like, hey, I'm looking for Tom and Justin. We got these radio waves in this podcast they did. We need to talk to them. I think the leaders of Earth be like, yeah, we're totally the leaders. Come over to our house. Let's have bourbon and talk about the Lord. It'd be great. You'll love it.
Amen on that. So that's good.
You know what? I want to throw something out there to you publicly. I've been talking to some other online pastors about pulling together a round table of online pastors in like a formal sense, rather be in person or digitally, but let's just go with digitally. A very impromptu-ish, get everyone together. Hey, everyone, if you're coming, come with 5 minutes of something to present, and we're going to throw out a topic and we're going to talk about it as a group. If we did something like that, would you be down?
Oh yeah, I would totally be down for that.
I don't think there's anything like that, at least that I know of. I don't know of anything like that is really going after, and not like the mega people of like Life Church. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the people like us, like hey, COVID happened, we made a pivot, and then and we're trying to figure this out as we go. Not hey, we've been doing this for 10 years with budgets of millions. And I know people at Life Church. I'm not knocking Life Church, but where we're at, kind of wrestling through things, is different than, hey, we've been doing this for 15 years. We have the #1 app. We have a staff of 1 million people and a lot of money. But like in the practical sense of what we're doing, would you be down if we did that?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100% for sure. So
I'm adding you to the list. And if anyone else is interested out there, they should shoot me an email online at marinerschurch.org. And I'd love to add them to the list, because it's something we're going to be launching very soon with a couple other online guys you'd probably know, to be honest. But I want to drop them right now out of respect for them. But it's gonna be fun. This podcast is fun. Talking to you has been fun.
Dude, it's been great. It's been I'm definitely going to have you back on, whether it's about space aliens or something else. We will definitely talk again. It's great having you on.
Yeah, you want have me back on in the fall, because if you're ever going to have me back on, the fall we're launching a regional approach, a time zoned approach to how we do this thing we do called Rooted, which is a 10-week discipleship experience. Right now it's Southern California. It happens, 6 to 8 p.m. And that finite structured deal is the same across the entire country. So if you live on the East Coast, you're signing up for 6 to 8:30 California time.
Yeah.
And it has not been getting us the results we're looking for. So in fall, we're launching it in every single time zone, groups that are centric to that time zone. So you'll do it from 6 to 8, 6:30 to 8:30 in your time zone. And the implications of like this multi-time zone approach to discipleship is something that I'm putting, all of my strategic time right now in conversations is how do we build that functioning system, equip it with leaders, just all the structure of that to meet the needs of the attendee.
Yeah.
Meet the needs of the church. Like, hey, we're gonna make it easy. We're gonna kind of do what we do here, and then just kind of say, hey, anyone can do it if they want to. But it's like, we're gonna make it easy for people to do church in a way that makes sense to them, in a time that makes sense to them. Like they're not like, oh, well, it's 9 o'clock where I live. It's gonna go 11:30. This is insane. But we're gonna make it easy for people to connect with their church in different time zones. I'm excited about it. I think it's gonna be different.
Dude, that sounds exciting. I will definitely have you on in the fall and we can talk about it. So, because that will help. I think that'll have big implications on how people do online ministry in different time zones. So I think that's really cool. So Justin, it was great having you on, man. I look forward to the next time.
Me too, Tom. Thanks so much.
All right. So what did you think? What did you think of the interview? What did you think about Justin and his sharing and those apps that he encouraged you to use? Have you used them before? Again, as I highlighted, I haven't used some of them before, and I'm really excited about using something like Buongiorno in the future. So that was really encouraging to me. Were you encouraged by the space aliens paper that he's working on? What kind of questions do you have? What thoughts do you have? Definitely share it with me online, or you can put it in the comment section below, or you can go to Twitter at TA Pounders, my Twitter handle, and Hey Justin Herman is Justin's Twitter handle. We would love to carry this conversation online as well, because again, online relationships are real relationships, and we can have those kind of relationships online. So hit us up on Twitter, hit us up online. We'd love to talk to you a little bit more. All right, Harris, thanks so much for joining me today. As always, if you enjoyed the podcast, go and subscribe to it. It's on YouTube, it's on Apple, Google, Amazon, all the platforms. We'd love for you to get these every time they come out. So check that out and subscribe to it today. All right, well, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and until next time, have a great one.